Here is a look at your Gap and Go trades for the week of July 22nd through the 26th. I will go over price targets, have a gap recap from the week of July 15th through the 19th, and update the chart as well. Hi everyone, it's Dow on the Dow. First up is Tesla. We ended the week at $239.20, down 4%. To the north side from where we are takes us to the middle of the trend and VWAP as well at roughly 241.49. Above that at 2 standard deviations and another level of resistance and a potential take profit area, 249.61. Above that, 253.59 and 257.40. To the south side takes us to -2 standard deviations and another level of support and a potential buy-in area. And that is 234.01. Below that, 229.94 and 226.13. Looking left for your gap recap, this gap is still in play to the downside, taking us down to 231.32, still a threat to our account. And that could touch on Monday within -2 and 2 standard deviations is where I am comfortable saying price will hit. And if it goes above that and below that, those are outliers and a clear buy and sell signal as well. And as far as the gap to the north side, actually, let's finish out all the gaps to the south side. Well, at least a couple of them. This one will take us out to 210.49, and if we continue our downward path, that could touch somewhere possibly at the end of the week. And then this gap takes us down to 197.96, and below that, this gap would take us out, well, look at this, to 144.89. And all of the green boxes up here are gaps to the upside that have already filled to the upside. And there are a few other gaps to the upside I believe I'm tracking. So this one, not in the channel, not in the zone, not even close, takes us up to 291.06. And as far as any other gaps to the north side, let's just go to the 1 hour. All right, that appears to be the last gap that I am tracking right here. So once we hit 291, I'll stop tracking it for my Gap and Go trades. As you can see, I have looked at this chart many times and also with the help of Trader Murat. So we've tracked this, as I said, to the upside and to the downside. And this thing has whipped us around. Back to the 5-minute. So one gap at a time. This one, and then this one to the upside. But again, we are going in a downward channel on the 5. And from the previous week, right here to here is coordinates. Text, oh, let me see that. Down 3.72% there. I want to make sure I hit that a little more precisely. 248.23 actually. And 239.20. There we go, down 3.64%. All right, I have many tickers to go through, so I'm going to speed through this. Nobody wants to watch a long video. The next one will be Boeing. Option R to help reset. First, your price targets. Oh. To the north side, resistance, 181.28, another level of resistance, 182.83, and 184.38. To the south side, VWAP takes us to 178.68, the middle of the trend and the baseline, 178.12, 174.92, 173.36, and 171.81. Looking left, I'm not sure if there are any gaps because I forgot to draw that, but I'll tell you about the gap to the north side, which takes us to roughly 198.54 or 50. And to the south side, that one already closed out. So I'm not tracking any new gaps as far as I can tell. Maybe in here there was something, but I don't think so. To the south side, so this one is what I'm tracking, but we are going in a downward channel, moving farther away from this gap to the upside. So keep that in mind. Obviously, you want to flip this over to the different time frames that will give you different buy and sell signals. And this line that I've marked in orange represents the monthly time frame, the lowest the RSI has gotten. And I use the RSI as just basically support and resistance. The next one I want to go over, wait a minute. Oh yeah, so keep in mind there are going to be other gaps I'm tracking that have not closed out. And I will talk about those one gap at a time after we get to this level. Not there. Dash is the next one. We ended the week at 106.10, up 5.8%. I feel like I forgot to mark out any new gaps, but not to worry. Even if you don't play the gaps, if you play the standard deviations, that will take care of any gap that formed for the previous week to the upside or to the downside. So we ended up 5.8%. We are at resistance, and you know what happens at resistance. The next level of resistance takes us to 107.99, 110.06. VWAP is 104.43. The middle of the trend and support from where we are, 101.65, 97.51, 95.36, and 93.30. The gap to the upside will take us to 127.01, not in the zone, not in the channel, not even close, moving farther away from it to the downside. Oh, wait a minute. I did mark this one out earlier in the week. What am I saying? Oh, that was for the previous one. That was Boeing. All right. So for the week, we gapped up. So I anticipate a move down, and we closed it out right there. On Wednesday, we opened up on Monday night, Tuesday, and we closed Wednesday. And that was to the downside at 105.69. So if we're up here and go down, this turns into support. And we just went sideways a little bit and then down some more. And this gapped up, so I will anticipate a fill to the south side whenever we hit that. That might be, well, within -2 and 2 standard deviations, so definitely this week, because we are still in a downward channel. And that will take us to roughly $100.48. Again, that RSI is for the monthly, so I keep track of it without having to flip it over. And for the gap, this one is still in play. Now, even though we are in a downward channel, we started the previous week at 105 and ended at 106.10. But you can just play within the week. That's all I'm tracking, 1 week at a time. We gapped up near resistance, potential take profit area, and then support, potential buy-in area, and now I anticipate a sell area. The cycle, the patterns repeat themselves. The next one is Nike. We ended the week at $72.70, up 0.44%. We are basically, if we're down here and we end up here, this is resistance. So we're going to grind along here, I anticipate, for a potential move up or a leg down. 73.50, 73.94, 74.39. VWAP is 72.32, and that's going to be support. And below that, 71.74, 71.29, and 70.86. This gap opened up, still in play, a threat to our account to the south side, and that could potentially touch, if we don't flush down, maybe by the end of the week. Okay, and then this gap opened up out of the gate on Monday. So we gap down. I anticipate a gap fill to the upside. That looks like it touched there. Psych, it did not. There, it touched. So that took us up to 73.35. Sell off at resistance, clear buy-in at support, and then close enough down here. You're never going to always touch these lines. It's just close enough and just a level for you to keep in mind for support and resistance, and then VWAP as support and resistance as well. So the previous week, 73.42, and then last week, 72.70 is where we ended. And as far as the gap to the downside, that will take us to 71.36. As far as a gap to the north side, this thing has beaten us up, let me tell you. Go woke, go broke, and everybody pays for it. When management does things that are off track, they get derailed, get sucked into things they shouldn't be doing, because in the end, it's the shareholders that get hurt. The majority of shareholders. 94.27 is the gap to the upside. We are in a downward channel still on the 5, but at least it's not a steep decline as it has been in the past. All right, and what other gap to the south side? Is that it? Yeah, I think that's it for now. If there is another one, I'll make another update video. But 73.42, we ended the week at 72.70. Okay, and CVS is the next one. In a downward channel. We were doing well this past week, and then on Friday, I did hit another all-time record high. So overall, I'm still way up, but we did not end on a high note on Friday. 59.57 is where we ended for the week, down more than 0.5%. VWAP is at 59.64, so very close. The middle of the trend and the baseline on the linear is 60.17, 61.86, 62.72, 63.58, and 58.48 for a level of support. The next one, 57.62 and 56.79. Looking left, bounce at support, sell off. This turns into resistance, sell off, and then sell off up here as well. But as far as the gaps go, this was a continuation from the previous week. And when I make my chart again, I just extend this out. I have no idea when it's going to touch, and that's why I have to clean it up over the weekend and recap these gaps. And look, we touched right there. And that took us to $60.62. So that is no longer in play. Delete. And now we've got this nice gap to the upside here. And that takes us to $67.70. We are not in the channel, not in the zone, not even close. We are in a downward channel, as you can see. But something to be aware of when we reverse course. And I think that is the only gap left that I'm tracking for CVS. Yeah, there were not too many gaps to begin with. All right, so that's CVS. The next one is Schlumberger. The nice thing about this one is we closed the gap that I have been tracking. So I'm so excited I can get rid of this And for some weird reason, I was only tracking 10 tickers. And then all of a sudden it became like 13 and 15. And now I'm at 13 again. So I'm going to start deleting some of these and making this video shorter as I hit these targets that I've been talking about. All right, 49.67 is where we ended, up nearly 2%. VWAP takes us to 49.99. Well, the middle of the trend first, 49.87, then 49.99, and then 50.64, 51.02, and 51.43. If we hit it, maybe towards the end of the week. And 49.07, 48.68, 48.30. These are again targets for Monday. And looking left, we reported earnings, 9.139 billion. The estimate word on the street was supposed to be 9.05 billion, and so the stock ran. But what comes up must come down. So there we go. Back up, down, and then back up to resistance. Now this gap opened up, so I will anticipate a pullback whenever we get there to the south side at roughly 46.44. And this gap right here, I'll tell you, look at this. So the high on Friday was $50.94. Well, I have marked out a long time ago $50.93 as of Thursday night, April 18th. So it took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 weeks for this gap to close. So it is out of here. And we hit 1 penny above that and then slammed down. Whenever I try to get out of a position, I play, well, an easy out would be to play the gap to the north side by 1 or 2 pennies. I find that if you go 3, 4, 5 pennies, sometimes it won't hit it. 1 penny, typically I'll get it. So congrats if you made some money off of this ticker. And I've got this ticker off of the Vanguard Total Stock Market Index Fund, as I track 234 tickers within that fund because I own it. So I'm going to delete all of these while I'm here. Delete. It started at $50.06. Delete, 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 delete. You know what I'm going to do? I am going to write myself a note right here. Closed gap. Oh, here. Gap closed out. And I will move it right here. So I'm done. So I remember to get this off my list. And thank you for reading my public service announcement. I appreciate all of your support. All right, done with that. The next one will be Intel. We ended the week at $32.98, down 5.42%. So this is where we are to the north side, 33.19 for the VWAP. Middle of the trend, 33.79-ish. 35.66, ignore all the horizontal lines. Those are previous support and resistance, and obviously we have moved away from that. 36.32 and 37.49, but we could, when we reverse course, hit those lines of support and resistance again as we retrace those levels. All right. 31.96, 31.03, and 30.08. Looking left for the gap recaps. This gap is still in play to the south side at 31.21, This one will take us down to 32.03, and that is in the realm of this upcoming week. So that's good. We just need to flush to the south side so that we can go back up again. We need these things to close out and not haunt us to the south side. All right, that gap closed. The other gap to the north side I'm tracking will take us to $37.60. I have no idea when it's going to touch, but right now we are moving farther away from this gap. And I think that is the last gap I am tracking. I hope, fingers crossed. All right, done with that. Next one is Pfizer. Again, I am tracking from here to this week, this white line to this white line, and that is it. It's very manageable to do. If you're a swing trader, it's easy to track. All right, we are at 29.97 when you put it in that perspective so that you don't get overwhelmed, especially if you are new to trading. So we are up 0.88%, 30.10, 30.72, 31.03, and 31.35. To the south side, VWAP 29.80. From where we are, that will be support. Another level of support, 29.48, 29.17, and 28.86. Looking left, bounce at support, clear sell-off at resistance and resistance. People are taking their profits along here, here, and here. They are locking in and they are leaving. And let's talk about the gaps to the downside first. We've got this one still in play because we gapped up. Now we're going to anticipate whenever we reverse course on the 5-minute, that will close to the south side. And this one as well. And I really shouldn't bother to track this tiny one because the deviations will close it out for me because then it looks like a hot mess. But I'm very particular, so. But I wouldn't be doing that if I were you. Just the big ones are good enough to play. Now, as far as this one, this touched finally right here to the north side on Thursday at $30.34. I have been tracking this gap. I'm going to move this to the 45-minute. I have been tracking this gap for 29 weeks, I believe. I counted. I didn't want to count it with you because it would just take too long. But look at this. Just 1 week at a time, all the green gaps are gaps to the north side, and then the red are gaps to the south side. So those were opportunities for you to go short. So you can see here, we started down here, gapped up, not gapped up, but we went up. That's a peak and then a slam down. So that's just a way to trade and go short if you like to go short. I don't. I'm just commenting on the shorts or the gaps to the south side, but I don't trade that. Oops. So congrats, and that is the last gap I am tracking. Yay. So now I can take this off my list and make my Gap and Go video shorter. Now closed out gap. That would be July 19. Oops. So let me move this back to the 5-minute. I don't know where the heck that went. I'll find it later. But so that will be off my list. Let me just. All right, that's done. Next one is RIVN. Let me speed through this. Oops. We ended the week at 29.97, up 0.88%. This one has whipped us all over the place around. And, oh wait, that's not it. I'm gonna say that does not look like RIVN's chart because we are down at 16.75. Look at this, from 18 here all the way down. down 0.89% for the week. To the north side, 17, 1728, 1754-ish. VWAP 1666, middle of the trend, 1647, 1594, 1566, and 1593. Looking left. Oh, what happened? I'm missing a... I can just tell something's wrong. Here, let me just move this out of the way so I can see the dates on the bottom here. Track this for so long that I know when things are missing and lines are missing. It's just like, okay. So support, a bounce, resistance, sell-off, resistance, resistance, support, support. Just clear areas of support and resistance and many levels in between. And the gap that I'm tracking will take us all the way down to $12. We made so much gains, and then now we're just giving it all back. But that is RIVN for you and most car companies. Tesla included Tuesday. If we continue to go south, this could hit on Tuesday. Now, for the gap that I'm tracking to the north side, that will take us, where will it take us? Oh my gosh, I need to clean this up. But basically this line right here will be at 23.35 roughly. Oops, stay on page, option R to reset. So that is all the way up here. Not in the channel, not in the zone, and not even close. Still moving, in a downward pattern. Next one is TSLA. I should have sold out of TSLA, but I didn't. Sell out, take some profits, buy back in again when it flushes us out, because it always does. All right, 1610 down 3.65%. VWAP is at 617, 1627, 1678, 1704, and 1729. Let's see, 1575, 1550, 1525. As far as the gaps to the south side, that will take us down to roughly 1483. I marked that, and 1319. I think that's the last one I'm tracking to the south side, unless anything new opens up. And as far as the gaps to the north side, this one will take us to 1771, and this one closes out at 1786. Not in the channel, not in the zone, not even close. Just keep your expectations realistic, -2 and 2 standard deviations all day long, because the lines change for you automatically. You can tell where it is, where it's headed. SOFI, 747 down 0.80%. VWAP is at 750. $7.86, roughly $8. 814. 732, 717, and 704. All right, to the south side, this gap will take us down to 659, and this one 679. The buy-in here, support, sell off at resistance. This is support, a bounce off there, resistance, flush down. And then this just indicates we're still headed south. So that gap, oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry, this gap closed out right here, yay. 786, and then ran some more. But the next gap to the north side is where? SOFI. Let's go to the 45-minute. Okay, let me extend the next gap. What is 8? I think 810 is nothing. I'm gonna have to investigate that more later. But 857. Where? Yeah, that's just, that was my buy line, Command Z to reset. Okay, I sold out at 810 previously, so ignore that line. So 857 there, then we've got this one to 963. I mean, we are so far off, it's not even funny. But that's a potential to get to this level. We are going up on the 45-minute time frame, but on the 5-minute time frame, still going down, moving farther away from these gaps. But these are the next targets. All right, that's it for SOFI and NEO. And that's my last one. $446 is where we ended, down 1.76%. VWAP takes us to 447, 456, 462, 468, 430, 423, 417. As far as the gaps go, this big gap and the smaller gap within the gap. So this one is down to 418. This one, both of these, we're definitely going to touch it if we continue to go down beginning of the week. But, we've got room to go up, and then it'll psych you and then continue its downward path is what I think. Now, as far as the gap to the north side, this gap opened up last week. Well, let's talk about this one. It opened up out of the gate and closed on Tuesday, right about, let's just say there. And then this one opened up and is still in play to the north side. And that will be roughly 488. Okay, and then the next one will be this one, not in the channel, not in the zone, not even close, taking us to 582. And keep your expectations low. Then you won't be disappointed. Just read the charts. Not necessarily listening to other people, not even to myself. But you can see with your own eyes what is happening, and then obviously, again, different buy and sell signals depending upon what time frame you are playing. All right, that is it. And one other thing about SLB, we closed that out, I mentioned, but what I forgot to say. Oh yeah, so 1593 is where I did the target. And then for Pfizer, I just want to check this out really quickly. 34, and then we started to run. Okay, let me just go back to NEO. Where is NEO? Oh, here we go. So that is a look at your gap and go trades for the week of July 22nd through the 26th, and I will go over more stock charts and tickers throughout next week. And if there is a ticker that you want me to go over, please let me know. Otherwise, have a fantastic weekend and have a great trading week.